I just want y'all to know that I got this hoodie from Black Craft Cult, and it says dead inside. Just like me. Don't you wanna have fun? Fool around someone? Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tamika. This is Library of Tomes, where I talk to you about all the bookish things going on in my life, and today I wanted to share my December wrap up with you all because it's just that time, you know? I've got 2 days left in the year, 2 days left in December, and I didn't want to wait. I know myself well enough to know that for the next 2 days I'm going to be prepping as much content as possible, so I just know realistically I'm not going to be reading and finishing anything, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up my month, and I'm starting wrapping up my entire year. So let's hop on into the books that I read in December. My December was a very weird reading month. I thought I was going to read way more than I did. I read 4 titles and talked about those in my last wrap up, which in my mid-month. I'm going to tell you about them really quickly. I'm going to tell you what I rated them. But honestly, there's only 4 there, and the second half of the month was like not horrible in terms of reading, but like there's not a lot to really talk about. So I honestly could have put this all in one little wrap up, but I'm kind of glad that I didn't. So let's go. So first of all, we have The One Night Stand Before Christmas. This is by Jana Ashton. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I have Hush by Liza James, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. This is a sapphic dark romance, which love. If you want my full thoughts, you can go to that video. Then I have Blood on the Tracks Volume 7, which is a continuation of this series that I absolutely adore. This is a psychological horror manga series, and I love it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Her Vigilante, which was a serial killer FBI romance, and I gave this a 3 out of 5 star. I will give you full thoughts in my mid-month if you want to go check those out. But now we're going to hop into the books that I read in the last half of the month that I can give you coherent thoughts on now. So the first book I want to tell you about is Blood Will Tell. This is a thriller that I got through NetGalley. I don't want to tell you a ton of stuff about this one, just because like it's a thriller. I don't want to tell you too much about a thriller. I want you to go in not knowing a ton, that way you can really enjoy the story. So I'm going to tell you what I can about this one and kind of let you go from there. So this one comes out in April, and it is honestly one of my favorite books I read this month and in this year, which is kind of huge because I think this is going to be the only thriller that ends up making it on my favorite books of the year list. So essentially in this one we follow a dual timeline situation, which is one of my favorite things to follow in thrillers. So we have a dual timeline of 5 years prior and then the current timeline. We have our heroine who is arrested or taken into custody by the police because her vehicle and her license plate number was matched to a crime of a girl getting kidnapped, and we follow this story from before and now, trying to figure out like why her car is in this and why she is in this investigation. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on in this one that I can't really tell you much more about without spoiling the entire story, but essentially our heroine is trying to figure out why her vehicle is in this investigation, why, you know, who took her car, things like that. There's a lot of family ties in here, a lot of very strong emotional ties with family. We have a heroine who practically raised her sibling, which is something that I absolutely love seeing in books because you all know I basically did that with my sister for a long time because, you know, my parents are divorced and my dad was a single dad, and it was just me, my dad, and my sister. So like I helped out a lot when it came to that situation. So I really love and relate to storylines like that, so this is probably like a personal thing. But if you really enjoy like a murder mystery and also just in general a mystery where it comes to the heroine or the main character solving the issue, you're gonna really like this. If you really like dual timelines, you're really gonna like this. So if those things like appeal to you, check it out. I really enjoyed the pacing on this one. I just thought it worked perfectly. So then I read Cutie and the Beast Volume 3. This is the 3rd installment in this series. It's an ongoing manga series that I absolutely adore. Essentially, we have a very large age gap between Kuga and Momoka, and they are just the sweetest babes. She's 18. He is, I want to say he's 28. I think he's 10 years older than her. He is a pro wrestler and she is a high school student. and they just have a cute little romance. Nothing is really happening so far in terms of like spice or steam, so it's a very clean series, very pure in nature, and I just am really enjoying it. It's just the continuation of that series. I can't tell you much more. It is so adorable though, so if you're at all interested in that premise, check it out. It is adorable. So the next book that I read was The Horseman of Sleepy Hollow. I had to turn and look because I couldn't really remember what the title was because it's a little weird. This is a Sleepy Hollow retelling, or a Headless Horseman retelling. I don't really know. Which one do you refer to it when you talk about the retelling? Because it's that storyline as a retelling, and we follow our heroine who she's being courted by a bunch of different people. She's not really interested in any of them, but she has to get married at some point because to be a proper lady in this time, so that's what she needs to do. She needs to find a husband so that she can, you know, be able to take on her father's property and manage that with a husband. And her mother has been trying to set her up with her best friend's son, and she is just not really interested. Like, she thinks he is very handsome, but he just does not have the mind that she wants. And then there's another character who she loves his mind, but she just is not attracted to him. So she wishes that she could combine these two, and something happens and she leaves a party and she's taken captive by the Headless Horseman, and the story continues from there. It's a very interesting story. I really enjoyed this one. It was definitely set in a time, like a different time period. It would definitely felt historical in nature, but it was so good, and it was like just enough of that setting for me that I really enjoyed it and was very captured by the story. So I really recommend this. This is a novella. I gave it a 3-star. I really enjoyed it. Then I want to talk about the rest of the books, which were, you guessed it, all Sapphic. I'm not shocked by this. No one should be. So the first of the Sapphic books I want to tell you about is called Soft. This was just a short story, and we're following our heroine, and she is in this weird marriage. She is in a marriage with someone who does not agree with her queerness, and she is essentially being shamed because of her queerness. She's not told her husband, but he is expressing a lot of distaste toward people who are queer. So she goes to this shop where she has met this beautiful masculine presenting woman, and her name is Emily, and she has no idea like who she is. It's just a short, it's like 20 pages. They have an interaction. The story is told, like, she says you are, and like it's told in second person, and it was just quite adorable. So they end up going and having a steamy moment in the storage closet. I enjoyed this. I recommend this. It was adorable. Cannot wait to read more from this author, especially the Sapphic books that are out. So check this out. This is free on Amazon. So then we have Her Night with Santa, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is a Santa Claus, but we have a female Santa. So she is taking over the Santa situation. Like, it's like a family lineage that they pass down. And we have our other heroine who has just quit her very nice job to make sex toys. And she is stuck because there's a blizzard. She can't get back to her family. And she ends up staying at this place because her uncle has like suggested it. And the father of the new Santa Claus, her name is Chris, he's setting her up. Like, he's trying to get her a woman, right? They have a fun time together. It is literally pure smut. It is fantastic though. Like, it is absolute pure smut, and that's it. Like, barely any storyline, but in the best way possible. Did I read this literally sitting at Christmas dinner with my conservative family who don't like that I'm gay? I sure did. This was fantastic. I'm pretty sure this author also wrote Mangoes and Mistletoes. I think that's what the book was. I don't remember, but this book was fantastic. I'm definitely going to read the rest of the series. I loved this. I gave it a 5 out of 5 star. The smut was immaculate. Definitely recommend. For someone who doesn't love smut, I loved this smut. It was fantastic. Maybe I just don't like straight smut. Maybe I just like gay smut. I don't really know, but 10 out of 10, definitely recommend. So then we have a just very short story that is another, it's also gay though. Like, are we I'm not shocked, and you shouldn't be shocked either. This one's called A Better Fate. This is a fantasy romance and it's only 20 pages. Essentially we have this person who, they're dead, but they want to seek a revenge on someone and they don't know who it is, and I can't tell you anything else. But they are dead, they're trying to seek revenge on someone, and they lose their memories every single day. So they get so far, and if they don't complete that revenge that they're trying to act out, they lose all their memories, they have to start over. This book is so good. It is so good. Like, I was reading this with my partner. So my partner was like with me when I was reading this, and I was just, you know, just reading, they're watching TV, and I was just, you know, just hanging out, having a good time, right? And I'm going through this book and it is so good and like so interesting. The next day I was thinking about the storyline behind this and I was like, what was she watching that was this interesting? Because like, we have very different like tastes and things that we watch. She likes to watch comedies. I prefer horror. I prefer, you know, that kind of genre. Like if I'm watching something, it's horror, right? You know, you all know this. So I was like, what in the world was she watching? Because like, it was so stuck in my head. And I was so convinced that this story that I was thinking about was something she was watching. And it wasn't, it was this book. And I just kept thinking about it because I was like, I want to keep going on that. Like, I want to turn that back on. Like, I wonder if we can keep watching that. It was this book. And it has stayed with me for like a week and a half. And it is just so good. Like, it was such a powerful and like really gripping short story, and like I'm glad it was a short story. It is a time where I've read a short story and I've not felt like I needed more. Like, it was absolutely perfect the way it was. Like, it was the perfect length, because I really do feel like if it had been a full-length book, I would have been bored, because it's a fantasy, and like fantasy romance and we have a very rocky relationship, but this one was just so good, and I really enjoyed it. So if you want to check out a fantasy romance that's sapphic, pick this up. I'm pretty sure it's free on Amazon, and it's amazing. Thank me later. So then we have more sapphic smut. Yes, this one was a novella. This is a Don't Tell Me No. I think her name's Honey Chanel, but this one I would consider a dark sapphic, if you will. Maybe that should be my next recommendation. Dark sapphic romances. Maybe we can get a good list of those going. But this one is a darker sapphic. Essentially, we have a heroine and her husband. He ends up stealing from this company, and the heroine has to go and take his place as a bargaining chip, per se. She has to go to the boss and be hers for a year. She gets a safe word, but she cannot say no. She has to remove the word no from her vocabulary, but the boss does let her have a safe word. She gets to talk to her husband once a week, and she ends up falling for her captor. You guessed it. And it is just a filthy time, and I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm realizing there is a smut that I enjoy. And this was it, because it was so good. I listened to the audiobook of this, and I thought the audiobook was fantastic. It was just really, really good. So the last book that I need to talk about is also sapphic. This is a full length. This is one that has been on my TBR for so long, and I've put it off, and I've not gotten to it. I tried to read it physically when I first got it, because I do own a paperback of it. This is something to talk about. This was the first sapphic romance that Berkeley published, and I really wanted to read this when it first came out, and I just didn't get gripped by it. So we follow Joe and Emma. They are a boss and assistant duo. Essentially, our heroine, Joe, is a very, very famous writer. Like, she directs a lot of things. She's an actress. She's very famous. And her assistant is going with her on this red carpet event so that she doesn't have to talk to other people. So essentially, she's using her as a buffer. And Joe's never brought someone with her before. So rumors start circulating very, very quickly that they are in a romantic relationship because of a photo, because of a way that Joe touches her, and the way Emma looks back at her. So essentially, we have this story where our two heroines are in a very slow burn relationship. They are very much like very close friends to lovers, and never in this book do we feel like there's a predatory situation going on. Like, I love taboo. I love when a boss and employee get together, and it's like it's a taboo thing. I enjoy it. Like, I really love that forbidden nature, but this one was just done so respectfully and like so tastefully. It was a fantastic story. I loved everything about this. I loved the characters. I loved the growth between them. I loved everything about this. I did feel like their back and forth was genuine, and I felt like everything that happened made sense with the two. I loved where Joe was coming from. I loved where Emma was coming from. I loved seeing these two work things out so beautifully and like deal with these struggles of not trusting one another and then trusting each other and like really letting their guard down. It was just beautiful, and I just loved it. It was so good, and I cannot wait for the next thing that this author writes, because I need more gay stuff in my life, man. I love this, and I will probably never shut up about it, because do I ever shut up about anything gay? No. That's what you get when you sign up for my channel. I don't know what y'all thought you were getting, but this is it. This is what you're getting. All right, so those are all the books that I read in December. Let me know what your favorite book you read in December was down in the comments. And if you're still here, leave me a mirror emoji down below, and I'll chat with you in my next one. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, his baby said that they don't got a future like it burns.